How do you think about brands or even how you've built your own voice and identity when you're avoiding and getting lost in like that sea of sameness?
Number one, know that you're going to suck at the beginning, but just try, start. Learn how to earn engagement, learn how to earn impact because you have an intuition that, hey, this will be interesting to me. But then like when it collides with reality, it's a different thing. So just know you're going to suck.
What is your favorite growth non-hack?
There's just our feelings. This whole data culture thing has told us to ignore our feelings, and our feelings are very powerful. Our feelings are oftentimes right.
Hi, and welcome to Growth Talks, where we dive deep into the world of growth and marketing with industry leaders. I'm Krystina Rubino, the general manager of the offline practice at Right Side Up. Today, I'm stoked to chat with Preston Rutherford, co-founder of Chubbies, Loop Returns, and now Marathon Data. In this episode, we're chatting about Preston's journey as a co-founder, how almost going out of business led to founding new companies, and why marketers should shift from chasing short-term revenue to building resilient and sustainable growth. So without further ado, let's get into it. Preston, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be a bunch of fun. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, same here, big time. Your journey began in technology, but there's a big leap when it comes to working in tech and working on some of the more traditional categories to deciding to sell short shorts D2C. So I just have to ask, I had to get it in. What led you to really tackling like direct to consumer head on and deciding to start a company, which is not the easiest path of least resistance that many people take when it comes to their careers?
No, not easy. Yes, it was quite a departure, if I'm being honest. So I guess maybe just like quick orientation, graduated college in 2008, global financial crisis. Everyone was super stressed. Like, what the heck am I doing with my life? I couldn't get a job. I went to Stanford. I'm like, what the heck? I can't even get a job. I'm an idiot. So the only job I could get was as an intern at a startup company that one of the people I lived with started. And that was it. So it was like very humbling, very stressful, whatever. But it wasn't a technology company startup that I knew nothing about because I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and there's nothing like this there. So I was like, seems cool. I don't get it though. And then like to jump forward a little bit, kind of like, okay, started to learn some stuff, but we were trying to be the thing that became Instagram. And we were just one of the many losers of that race, which is interesting, but tried to create photo sharing products. And turned out the big takeaway from that experience, and this was actually one of the things that led to Chubbies, was apathy. People were apathetic toward our product and like they didn't care. It was fine. The technology was amazing, but it didn't do anything for you in the way that like Instagram did, for instance. And then we can go into a variety of reasons why, but that was one of the things where I was like, I'm just jaded. The other is that we were ad supported. So this idea that like, I'm not creating anything physical where I can just like hand you a thing that is my product and then you smile because of it and then you hand me money. I wanted that, right? I was just like, this whole digital like ones and zeros, bips and bops and whatever is like ridiculous. All of us for 4 or 5 years out of college, we were like, I hate bosses. I'm not married. I don't have a mortgage. So let's start something. And we didn't know what to start. None of us studied computer science. So like we couldn't create Instagram or whatever, even though like I kind of worked in technology. So we were just like, what can we do? And it was like, well, I played rugby at Stanford. 2 of the guys played soccer. One of the other guys spent a lot of time, a lot of his upbringing, he was military family, so went around, but in Georgia. So all of those things, for some reason or another, generally gravitate towards shorter shorts. And at the time, imagine 2011, the thing was Abercrombie and Fitch, but not the cool version that is today and like the best performing stock of 2023. No, this was like, if you remember this guy, Mike Jeffries, the not super awesome dude. And then but it was like that vibe of taking yourself seriously, not being fun, not being like welcoming or inclusive or just like be whoever the fuck you are, right? It was very much like, you need a 6-pack. I'm going to stand here at the door and I'm going to spray you with smelly shit. And I'm going to play this horrible house music as you come into my store, you uncool, ungood looking peon, right? That was the vibe.
Oh yeah, you're paying for like exclusivity and to like be vaguely talked down to. Yeah.
Right. And then that was like the definition of like what cool is and blah, blah, blah. So we were just like, I don't like that at all. Let's try to be the opposite of that. And then from a product so that was like more brand or vibe. And then from the product perspective, like if you remember Jersey Shore or Ed Hardy shirt or Affliction shirts, but then the shorts were very long and like all these cargo pockets and all that kind of thing. And we were just like, those are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, you're not going fishing. Like it's not, you don't need that kind of utility.
No. oh, no. And then we also loved the retro vibes of like our dads going on spring break and wearing these awesome shorter shorts and their longer socks and their tees and their mustaches and all that shit. And we were like, there's something with bringing back this retro. So it was like anti-Abercrombie, a missing product that we felt we were just like, we're going to be our own customers. I don't know if there's anyone else like us, but maybe. But let's just make a product we want. And then the inspiration of the product was effectively like the opposite of what was status quo. So from a brand and a product perspective, we kind of felt like we were just like the opposite, and informed by this retro vibe, this return to, in our opinion, like the true glory of the day of the short. And those were the things that kind of got us excited. But long story short, like we put a little bit of, it was a lot to us, of the money into it, of the money we had into it, because we didn't have any. We were just like working. And the first thing that happened when we tried to make a pair of shorts is the person who actually made the shorts didn't make the shorts, and they took all of our money. So it was like a resounding success in starting this business. But then some cool stuff happened after that, and we don't have to get into that, but fun to start it and a huge departure from sexy tech startup land.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild, like also the amount of failure and challenges and like things that could have pointed you in a different direction. And frankly, like I think we've gotten to a place now where people hear challenger brand and they roll their eyes, but the genesis of why Silicon Valley, why tech, why take a contrarian position and why like really dig into it. I mean, Chubbies is obviously sold, IPO, not to say that you're ever going to really turn the page on that in your career. It's a really cool, like it's become an iconic brand for millennials. There's ways that brands touch people's lives. And then what's kind of funny about it to me is you did something that I almost always tell friends and colleagues and people that I talk to in-house not to do, which is try and tackle a problem that arises out of your business head on yourself. Like your mission when you set out was to create an iconic brand and sell some short shorts, right? But what is kind of wild is it led you guys to starting Loop Returns. And with Loop, it's a very common story, right? You saw a gap in the marketplace, you saw that something wasn't happening. So my question is like, an idea for something is great. And a lot of companies do that, but like, how did you know that it was going to be something that others would need too? And, or was it just worth pursuing strictly because you were like, this is terrible, and if we don't figure this out, we're going to really struggle in our business?
Yes, to the latter part. So a few things to say before that. First, like everything that relates to Chubbies, like all the credit to the other three founders and then the whole team, right? That's obvious, but gotta say it. Want to say it. I learned a lot and I'm pretty humbled by it. So that's the Chubbies point. Same for Loop. So with Loop, I had no freaking idea. Just returns suck, and it sucked for everybody. Imagine like you want to return something and you email customer service and you're like, hey, I want to do a return. And then they respond being like, okay, tell me your order number, send me a picture of your product. And then the customer service, once they get that, which is in and of itself like such a burden for the person to take a photo, right? Because this was like, I don't know, you didn't have the crazy iPhone cameras now. So it was like kind of a hassle. You had to use our digital camera or whatever. You take a shitty photo with your iPhone. And like, so it was a bad customer experience because then the customer service agent would be like, oh, send a picture from this angle. Did you violate the return policy? And then if they didn't, then you'd manually send back a one-off PDF return shipping label. So it's like 10 emails and it's a horrible experience. And then you couldn't do an exchange really easily. I mean, you could manually ask for an exchange, but there were so many returns that could have been exchanges. And because of that, like that is so expensive for the brand, right? So there are all these problems. So like we were losing a bunch of money because of time spent, inefficiency. The customer was having a horrible experience. Like it just didn't work for me. I just want to get to the thing that works for me. And it's not their fault. So we're just like, oh my gosh, there's so many problems to solve here. We had, like in terms of your question, like how the heck do you do this? You're short salesman on the internet. We had a great development partner, like engineering partner who we worked with for a long time. And so that they helped us with all the cool stuff that we did on our website, like making it fun and little surprises and doing cool stuff, and helped us with a variety of front and back end things. They built it. And we as the team internally at Chubbies were kind of like part of the process of being like, oh, it'd be cool if it did this. It'd be cool if it did this. And then they did that too. So like, again, like all the credit to them. And then it was just meant to be an internal tool. So we had no grand visions of it being what it is today. It was just cool. This would be sweet. Let's use it. And then other brands came to us and were like, yo, we have the same problem. I see it. Maybe they were customers. I don't remember. Like, I went through your returns process. It was sweet. Can we have it? I can only speak for myself. I was like, no, we got to focus on tiny shorts and selling those things. We are not a technology company. Focus, focus, focus. And I was like, we shouldn't even do this. So I was wrong, clearly. So the other folks were more wise than I. And they were like, well, let's just spin up a new entity, put a team in place. Maybe we'll take a board seat and let them build it into a business. It wasn't really much for a bit, right? I mean, you got to do a lot of software stuff to make it usable by other people, blah, blah, blah. But then like in terms of the growth of the business, it wasn't like, boo. But over time, it has become amazing. So all the credit to that team, Jonathan Poma, the whole team in making that what it has become. It's amazing to see and just crazy, right? But yeah, we had a little tiny piece in that story too, which is just kind of wild and cool and humbling.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think like it is funny, like the rule is to focus, like laser focus, right? If you lose focus when you're starting a business and you start to try and be all things and do all things for all people, you're going to dilute your brand, you're going to dilute your resources, like when you're a startup. So I would say like the rule, but it was credit to the smart people around you also that were like, this is the exception to that rule. Like this is the diversion that could actually, it's been a game changer for our business. This probably could be a game changer for other businesses. Like that's awesome.
Find some risk mitigated way to give this a chance, and like, why shut ourselves off to the potential upside? Yes, there's potential downside, but let's try to mitigate that in a balanced way. And it all gets to this whole story of finding balance in marketing, blah, 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 blah. Same thing, right? But yeah, I think that's the approach.
So the reason that Preston's on the show actually is like, I slid into your DMs because I was cracking up at a lot of the content that you're sharing on LinkedIn. I think that humor is an extraordinarily underutilized tool in marketing, especially in B2B. And what is kind of like it breaks through the noise on my feed. There's like a very conversational style to the way that you approach and tackle even very archaic concepts of business, that conversations where you're just like kind of looking at the conversation between a CFO and a CMO or a CFO and a CEO and et cetera. So I guess my question is like relating then that to how brands should position themselves. How do you think about that? And obviously downstream from Chubbies, but how do you think about brands or even how you've built your own voice and identity when you're avoiding getting lost in like that sea of sameness, like that sea of LinkedIn broetry that has just permeated the way, like the English language wept, honestly, at some of the posts on LinkedIn.
Oh, God. First of all, I love the word broetry, and that's so good. I mean, honestly, like what I should say just to the broetry word is that I probably lack self-awareness and probably do come across as whatever, a bit of broetry, but trying to do so in the friendliest way possible. But anyways, I think it was just sort of like how and finding voice and that sort of thing. And I think and I'll try to parallel it to Chubbies and any success that we had as it relates to like content. Because at the end of the day, content is great product, great content. I was less involved on the product side. I just wore it all the time. I loved our product. That all the credit to Rainer, co-founder, Kyle. But in terms of the content, that was mostly Tom and I, and then the amazing team, because they get all the credit. But as it try to combine both things, number one, know that you're going to suck at the beginning, but just try, start, learn how to earn engagement, learn how to earn impact, because you have an intuition that, hey, this will be interesting to me. But then like when it collides with reality, it's a different thing. So just know you're going to suck. I mean, at the beginning for Chubbies, back to the shitty camera thing, like the photos we were posting to social were so bad, but there was something there, right? Like it was Preston and Tom and Rainer and Kyle and the rest of the team, just like coming from a person account, right? So it didn't feel like corporate entity kind of stuff, but it was shitty and we didn't know what would work, but so we tried. I remember looking at, this is like a funny content story, one of our earlier posts, maybe it was like one of our first posts, like it got zero engagement. It got zero posts. It was like a Chubbies bumper sticker on a street sign or something like that. Maybe it had like 1 or 2 comments or something like that. But you see this time and time again with the brands who are crushing it with content now. Go back. It was crap, but they started and they kept going. But yeah, the whole content thing, like not that it's good or whatever, not assuming that, but just our process, at least at Chubbies, is try to do something that's going to be different, right? Because just being different helps, right? And then to the extent possible, never really accomplishing this, but have the aim be, like my expectation is to be the best piece of content you see all day, regardless of whether it's from your buddy, from some influencers, from whatever. Like try that, like earn people's time and attention rather than just checking a box and just being like, well, I got to do this. Try to be the best with your paid, with your organic, with whatever. Very hard. But like when that's our goal. Second is like, these aren't customers. These aren't viewers. These aren't likers. Like these are fucking people. And many of them, at least at the beginning, are your buddies, people you go to dinner with, people you'll see at a party, people like you have to face. And one of the things I think that helped Chubbies over time be different and have like deep community, customer engagement, that people I think love it, was we all treated everyone who was viewing our shit like our buddies, like our friends, like people we had reputations with and people who we would face, right? Some of the shit that brands do, and Chubbies did this too, you would never do to your friend. You would never tell them to do something without being like, hey, let's just be friends first. Let's meet each other and build some trust. No, like you wouldn't throw the ads that many of us are running in front of people without taking them to dinner first or whatever the saying is, right? So when you're thinking like, this is a person who I'm going to see at happy hour, to where if I put a shitty thing in their feed, they're going to be like, that was shitty. You suck. You shouldn't do that. You hurt our relationship, you idiot. Like that's the sort of stuff that is actually happening in the real world. Like that's what people think when they see shitty content, but all you get is just a lower click-through rate. You don't feel the pain of how, you had a really negative impact, and you lose that when you view yourselves as a company speaking to customers or selling to customers, as a worse term. It's different when you're like, I'm talking to my friends. This is just a big group of my friends, and I'm so blessed to have this big group of friends that I get to talk to all the time, and I have money that I can spend to show you my content.
Yeah, I mean, hey, part of it is also figuring out what doesn't work. And to your point, the next time I write something, I'm literally going to think about like one of my very other jaded friends sitting there and scrolling through it and whether or not they would scroll past it. Because I think like if we could see people engaging with our content, either as personal, whatever we're posting on whatever platforms we're on, or like as a brand, like putting something out there, if you could see somebody just complete inattention, scroll totally past it, I almost think that's worse. Like I want to be memorable.
It is apathy.
Yeah, apathy.
Apathy is the worst thing, right? I mean, we were happy. I mean, it's never easy, but we were always happy to know that there were people who hated Chubbies. And like even in person came up to us and were like, you guys are fucking stupid. This is the worst. Because that meant that there was something to hate rather than, no, it's not worth my time to like walk over to them and talk shit to this person I've never met and tell them how stupid they are. There was something to react to. And that's amazing. That's great, right? Because apathy is the killer of everything. And like sea of sameness drives apathy, blah, 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 drives apathy. So yeah, you nailed it.
Occasionally. Okay, so the A/B test, as I mentioned, some of it's work related, some of it's not at all work related, but the idea is just based on whatever variables that are working in your brain at the moment, pick one. And my favorite thing that everybody does, I'm going to start caveating this, is everybody's like, well, it depends. And I'm like, pick one, but you can have an it depends.
I'll try not to.
Okay, bootstrapping or external investment.
Bootstrapping. Number one, we didn't bootstrap, so I'm mostly like grassroots greenering because of answer two, which is optionality. Like when you're building a business, building a brand, whatever, when you take especially like traditional venture capital where there are like limited partners who demand a return, you don't have the ability to say, oh, I made 20 million in profit this year. Let's distribute it to the owners as a distribution or a dividend. No, you got to sell the thing for a one-time purchase, or you got to do some big transaction, binary outcome that may or may not happen. And that the risk associated with that is far higher than building a profitable business, taking some profits for the owners. Like that's how business, for 99.9% of businesses that aren't Facebook or name your tech company, right. That's like what business is. So that's why I say bootstrapping. But there are massive risks associated with bootstrapping. Say it takes longer, all of it's on you kind of thing. So pros and cons, but if I had to pick one, that's it.
Beach day or mountain hike?
Beach.
Yeah, that makes sense. Pickleball or tennis?
I'm going to say tennis because pickleball is so in vogue. And I just sometimes like to do the thing that is not as obvious, even though tennis is popular. And
nothing about your story or your journey or anything about you would ever make me think that would be the case. So that's such a shocker.
But I do like pickleball because it's a smaller court. I'm getting older. And so I can get to the ball a little bit, without being as spry as I used to be.
Fair enough. Working in a startup or working in a large corporation?
Startup. I don't even know how to do large corporation. I don't think I could do it again.
Honestly, like for me, I heard a story the other day about how somebody was told that they couldn't go to a specialist doctor appointment because their boss really needed them in a meeting. And I was just like, I'm sorry, what? Like that's just not something I receive at this point in my career, in my life, for any of the people that I work with or work with me. Like, no, thank you. That's hard pass.
Yeah. Maybe one thing I would just briefly say, to the extent it's useful to the audience, just like from like a let me bare my soul, is I had a lot of insecurity that I wasn't able to get jobs or be recruited by big companies or whatever. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like I can do this. I don't even know. Like I could do the startup thing, or I was like, why am I not able to do this thing? Like why don't you like me? And
Are we all
what I've
trying to always
learned,
answer that question?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What I think I've learned, or that what I have come to, is just like the whole idea of like zone of genius and being able to acknowledge that no one's great at everything, and it's fine that you're not good at this other thing. And who cares that you, like, I literally could not get a job at a big company. Even if I interviewed, like, I don't think I would be able to get a job. So like that sucks. Anyways, to the extent that's helpful to the audience, if anyone's like dealing with that, or if they're just feeling the pain of like, oh, I gotta get out of here, I gotta start my own thing, it just doesn't feel right. Like, it just didn't feel right for me. And so I'm just like not a fit for it at all. My wife is, she's killing it in that context. And I just don't know how she does it. But right, not being able to do both is fine. It doesn't mean you suck. And that's what I thought. So just hopefully that's helpful. You're good. Whoever's listening, you're good.
Yeah, you're good, you're enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really like there's a, it's a very funny thing. Like I've been at Right Side Up now for next year will be 7 years. And
Awesome.
there was a lack of fit for me at traditional agencies. And I look back now, and I mean I spent almost a dozen years trying to bang my head against a wall and just trying to squeeze myself into this box and be the account director or the media director or the communications planner or whatever. Like I am that person who just cares too much and pursues excellence and isolates sometimes in the pursuit of excellence. And it's like, I found my home in startups. I found my home in tech because I realized that there's other people around me who are just as crazy in the best way possible and just as fixated on like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this the best that we possibly can. And we're also going to have fun while we're doing it. Like we're going to, all of the tropes of tech that are true, but there is like a core to it that for people who are, what was the phrase that you mentioned about genius?
Zone of genius.
Yeah. I'm probably not as well read as I should be in terms of business, but like I've never heard that before. And I love that because trying to be good at everything is just, you're going to wind up being like jack of all trades, master of none. So I love that. LinkedIn video or long form articles?
I have no idea. I was thinking I'm working on a video right now with a little bit of long form. So maybe there's something there, but
like a little split the difference.
Yeah. My tactical thing that I'm thinking through is sometimes more legitimacy comes from when someone else says something that you're trying to say better than you, and you can use their legitimacy. And I think it's more impactful for people. So when it's someone else saying something, like when it's someone I really respect in an interview making a point that I agree with, it's just so much more powerful from them. But I can quote them in text, but when it shows up in video and you hear them saying it, you hear their tonality and you hear the context, I think it's more valuable.
Okay, I'll give you one last one. Limited edition product drops or year-round product availability?
The latter. Oh, okay. Year-round product availability. You don't want to have to depend on drops to be desired. You want to have the brand. You want to have people who are like, in this brand, they don't have to come out with new products. It's just the same shit. It's like a Birkin bag. I don't think they're innovating on a weekly drop of a Birkin bag. So yeah, I'd take that. I'd take that every day of the week. And even though it's fun to come out with limited edition stuff, I really love it. And it is brand accretive, right? But it's also really hard, very risky, a lot of operational infrastructure involved with constant product newness. So I would love to have one SKU that I can order it, buy inventory after it's purchased, and it's constantly available.
Makes sense to me. And actually to that point about not being kind of overly reliant on specific product drops and like just even thinking about over reliance on performance marketing. So I think we kind of teased this out a little bit earlier, but it was like there is this relentless focus on short to midterm revenue and transactions and ROAS and just all of the things that are the discipline of growth marketing, performance marketing. It's important to do the basics, but something that you advocate for is resilient growth. And my question for you is like, how can companies build this kind of resilience into their strategies, especially early stage brands where like, I'm sure there's some traps that you commonly see and probably have fallen into yourself when it comes to early stage brands trying to hit their goals, basically do the things that they're setting out to do.
The hard truth is that it's easier to do this shitty kind of stuff. And we did the easier stuff after the hard stuff. So like you do the hard stuff, you rise above the noise. It's very inconsistent, right? It's maybe like stunty even, like one-off things that are crazy ideas that get you out there. Or it's just like laying a foundation, awesome content, earn engagement, build audience. We were more the former while trying to build the audience in a high quality way, but that's one thing. And I don't want to be like the asshole, oh, it's easy. But in some ways, it's easy in the context of operating a business with real financial constraints, needing to hit quarterly, monthly, weekly goals, hitting payroll, having board meetings, right? You need something that's like really easier to forecast against, to put into an Excel spreadsheet, to incentivize an employee, to give them a goal to hit, right? There are all these just realities of companies that
it's predictable.
Yeah.
It's been laid laid out for you in a way that like there's a playbook.
And it's highly measurable. I mean, credit to Meta. They fucking knocked it out of the park in making you feel like I am in God mode, speaking of like gaming, and I can put a thing in and then out comes 3x it. And then even if 2.9 starts coming out a month later, 2 starts coming out a year later, you're like, fuck. I mean, I'll chalk it up to an election year or an algorithm change or Temu spending a lot or whatever, more competition. There's nothing I can do about it. But in reality, there is. And that was kind of like the hard thing we had to learn. One of the many hard things we had to learn at Chubbies, that it worked at the beginning. This is the truth, though, that is difficult because it's what like the saying about the frog in the boiling water or whatever. Like if you keep them in there, they're just going to die. It's hard to know it. So, because this short-term thinking, it helps you go from like, you get to like, let's call it 0 to 1. But then you go from like 1 to 2, you have a little money in the bank. You got to do that initial scaling. Facebook ads are the best, right? Nailing one-day click ROAS is like a very smart way to do it. Not to do everything. And so don't lose balance. But we lost balance. And I think a lot of brands lose balance because like when you start a business and you have initial success, the reality is there's untapped demand. That existing demand, future demand, or existing demand exists. So you just need to capture it. And that's the reason you started the business, because there's this hole, there's this gap. Now, it's really hard to recognize when you've captured it, because then you have to start doing something different. And that's like really hard for us, because there's no like, okay, now you're no longer a first grader, you're a second grader, right? You've graduated. There's a day when that happens. No, it's just gradual, and there's a fucking mess of running a business. So that's the difficult part, is that it becomes hard to evolve to start growing future demand. Future demand shows shit ROAS. So therein lies the problem.
And so this is why, when we were talking, and I think anybody who's been following your content is like, oh, wow, no way, he's working in B2B now. Like there is definitely like, you've done a really good job seeding that. One thing that's interesting is thinking about how you convince teams and leadership to focus on long-term strategies over short-term tactics, when short-term tactics show results that everybody, including a board member that's sitting there half the time scrolling on their phone while they're listening to you. Not that any of us have ever met anybody on a board that's done that or have friends that do that. But how do you, like, just thinking about what you're doing now at Marathon, there's value in all brand interactions, but to say that to turn interactions and to turn engagements into something that is a reliable predictor of long-term success and ROAS, what is that essentially what you view now as the path to building, actually as the way to building a path for teams to focus more on brand, whatever that actually means for them?
Yeah, therein lies another problem, which is like, you say the word brand or brand marketing or brand building. CFO is going to have a picture, a feeling. Performance marketing head's going to have brand marketing head, the social media person, the creative director, blah, blah, blah. And they're all very strong feelings, right? Because there's lack of definition. There's lack of depth. So one of the things we had to learn is like, define brand in terms of money. Define brand in terms of something I can see in my Google Analytics or Shopify Dash or whatever, because that's all that I care about, right? Because I'm not trying to build a brand for that for the sake of it. I'm trying to make more money than not doing that, right? You just kind of take it to the extreme, right? If you don't have a brand, you are competing on price. You are competing, so lowest cost, lowest price, and that's what wins, right? So clearly you don't want that. And then like take this other stuff to the extreme, right? If you discount more, you will drive more short-term sales. So a lot of us do 5 to 15% off, and maybe in our big promos, we go to 20 or 30, but like, that's just because it feels like that's okay. But like, take it to 90%, like fuck, discount your shit 99%. You will drive short-term revenue. But for some reason, we think that this 15% off or something won't do negative things. So like, that's what happens. You to get growth, you need to do these things that just like, again, like sell your soul. You're buying from the future and you're paying 2x for it to get the money today, sort of thing. So, okay, the thing that is like, so like brand means all these different things, but no one's going to debate, have we done the things that allow us to increase prices today more than inflation and not lose customers? Or most of us are discounting a lot. So then the question is like, can we pull back discounts? And that's just because the brand is weakening, and you only discount when you don't have demand to sell through the shit you have, right? In the time you need it to sell. And that's like the reality. Not that Chubbies never ran discounts. I mean, you might go to the site right now and see that there's a discount. discount. No one, I'm never saying never do it. I'm just saying we can get into this rhythm of that's the only way to grow, and we kind of lose sight of it rather than let's be able to turn off our ads and discounts and either raise prices or have a greater percentage of our revenue. You don't have to call it brand marketing. You don't have to call it brand. Just do the shit that gets people to want to be interested in you, to where when they're like, okay, I'm buying deodorant today, I'm searching, name your brand. I'm not doing 10 best deodorants and then doing my pro con. No, I'm going like, this is my brand. I'm a customer of this brand. I'm doing it. Like, there's no debate that that's good. And I don't care.
I have one 20-second question for you, but I have a feeling you're actually answering it at this moment. Continue.
I'm not totally sure, but just like investing in stocks, like we all, I don't know, dabble maybe a little bit. We buy some Facebook, buy some Twitter, whatever, little crypto, who knows. But like when investing in companies, if a company is, and you can easily sniff this out in the P&L, if a company is like only maximizing for short-term profits, like not investing for the future, because investing for the future at Amazon, right? At Facebook, at whatever killer ass business, shows short-term negative profit impact, shows short-term ROAS. But they do it because they know you got to do it. Like, this is not rocket science. This is not debatable. I think just because we've used this airy-fairy language of like brand awareness has fucked this whole thing up. And I'm cussing because I'm getting real excited. But the general idea is like, let's just talk in terms of obvious growth principles for long-term profit generation. There's like no debate. Like, there's a model, there's a playbook. It's balancing investing for the long term and the short term. Whatever the percentage is ridiculously irrelevant. You are an adult. You figure this shit out. But it's like, don't be an idiot and just run off of this metric that feels good, right? I mean, could you imagine if a public company was like, man, my net income today is great, but I'm doing nothing to drive further innovation or make my product better or make people come to my website without being prompted. Like, it just seems stupid when you talk about it that way. And in reality, it is. Like, I was behaving stupidly for all the time I was optimizing everything on one day click ROAS or short term, whatever, because that's just dumb. My ego felt good. So anyways, that's rant complete.
Well, we end every show and we say, we hear the term growth hack all the time, but what we want to know is, what is your favorite growth non-hack? And I'm not going to presume, but it honestly sounds like your favorite growth non-hack is building an actual brand.
This is like when you just got to be honest with yourself and you just be like, is the shit that I'm doing as a marketer, as a business owner, as an operator, is it making the shit that I sell more or less desirable? Like, there's just our feelings. This whole data culture thing has told us to ignore our feelings, and our feelings are very powerful. Our feelings are oftentimes right. So it is not wrong to do that, because my feelings, a customer of a brand, is an emotional thing. It's emotional. It's feelings based. So like, to ignore feelings as a builder of a brand is like idiotic. Even though I did it, I did all this stuff. So that's one thing. It's like the feeling.
When you know better, you do better.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess that's one thing, is just like acknowledge the feeling. Now, the new thing I'm doing with Marathon, we're trying to put data onto the feeling to just like validate the feeling that you're not an idiot when you put content that is just awesome and memorable and interesting and value additive, talking about your brand. There should be ways to measure how you're making more money, particularly in that high margin long-term revenue as a result of it. Like, rant done about Marathon data. But like, that's, I think, the thing is like, feel that I'm increasing desirability with this thing that I'm doing today, right now. Like this 97% discount that I'm running today, or this like, buy this deodorant right now, 13 more minutes, it's 97% off, right? Do you think that honestly increases desirability for your brand long-term? Do you think it makes a friend of yours be like, yeah, I love this brand and I'm going to buy from them for the rest of my life? No. So let's ask ourselves these like basic questions and do shit that, like, if you're talking to your friend, they're going to say, that was awesome. I'm going to buy every hairspray from you guys.
Twice on Sundays.
Thank
you for all the time. It was an absolute pleasure. I think everybody listening to this will have learned a ton, but yeah, thanks very, very, very much for joining me. Talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Growth Talks. We hope you found our discussion insightful and fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more valuable content. And if you're excited and ready to start up-leveling your growth strategies and execution, Right Side Up has you covered. Right Side Up is a leading growth marketing agency that has partnered with over 1,000 companies of all stages and sizes to help them meet and exceed their growth goals. With expertise across all growth marketing functions, we can help you evaluate product market fit, develop customer acquisition strategies, navigate executional challenges and staffing gaps, and make pivotal decisions with confidence. And whether you need one individual or a custom-built, full-service team, we'll find you the right A+ talent. Visit us at rightsideup.com to see how we can help you and your company grow.